Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Inspo Pod with me, Bethany. Um, I'm glad you're all here. It's lovely to speak to you all and to have my subscribers, followers, etc. on board with this journey. So thank you so much, everybody. Today I thought I would switch things around and answer the questions I normally ask to my guests to answer them myself. So this may come across a little bit weird because I'm going to kind of ask myself the questions and then answer. Also, for those of you watching, I know I usually have my light on. I do have a really lovely selfie light, which works wonders and makes the video really crisp and really bright. Although I just thought today, I felt like I looked better with it off. So we're going to go with the darker look. Hope that's okay. Um, so yeah, let's get into it. So for my intro, who am I? What's my name? What do I do? So obviously I'm Bethany Irish. As you all know, if you're listening to this, you probably already know me. And I'm a podcast host. So I'm predominantly a podcast host and of this lovely podcast. And on top of that, my main job, which is a full-time role. I freelance for an amazing events and marketing company in London. As I said, full-time role. I support them in the capacity of helping with staffing and events, which is something I've done for a long time and I'm quite good at, if I do say so myself. But everyone there's lovely. I really, really enjoy it. And yeah, it pays my bills, which is amazing. And I love it. So I've got an amazing manager as well who is featuring on this podcast, the lovely Tony. Um, so yeah, that's my main job. Podcast host is the main passion, doesn't pay the bills as yet. And I also do voiceovers in my spare time, always open to work, and also freelance writing. So I do some freelance writing and I'm also in the process of writing a book. So we'll see how that goes. Um, So yeah, the next question the next question is actually what do you do? But I've kind of answered that already. So my career, I'd say my job is the staffing and events, which is kind of a career but kind of a job. It's amazing, pays the bills. Um, and I give my 100% effort to that every day. The passion slash dream career, I suppose, is podcasting, which is why I'm here, obviously. So yeah, that's the dream. My dream life, if I was to describe my dream life to you, would look like I wake up every day early, I go to the gym or yoga. Every day I'm recording. So I'm recording podcast episodes. I'm recording voiceovers. I'll do like maybe one or two voiceovers a week. I do my podcast every week, twice a week. So I'm either editing or recording every day. I also write freelance, and that brings a separate income. And then I also would love to have my own little online shop. So that's something that's kind of fallen to the wayside because I'm a big believer in not trying to do too many things at once, which I think is very good advice. Because I did start this year with a million goals and it's just not feasible, and you end up feeling more defeated and getting less done than if you narrow down your goals and just focus on one or two things at a time. So the gift shop idea has kind of fallen to the wayside for now because I kind of want to do what my real passion is, save some money and build up that way. And then when I've got a bit of money behind me and I'm doing the things that make me happy, use that money for the online shop. And what that shop would be very similar to a concept I've seen online already by a wonderful company called Treatbox. I love the idea of like gift boxes, and I always make them for my friends anyway. And I tend to do this like kind of like cozy gift box theme. So each box will have a pair of socks, like the fluffy socks that everyone loves in the winter. So not just like a random pair of socks, but like the cozy socks. So if I've got a friend that loves green and I'm doing a green themed box, I'll get some green fluffy socks. Or if it's a specific kind of autumnal box, I might get some pumpkin socks or some orange and browns, like autumnal colors. Or if it's for someone's birthday, it might be that there's a theme to their box or something that they love. So that's the kind of idea behind that. And then the other items would generally be like some kind of sweets or chocolates, some sachets of teas, because I love tea. I drink green tea, different flavored teas. Tea is life. Coffee is life, but coffee's hard to put in a gift box. um, and then generally just like some other trinkets, like a candle. I love like the bubble candles that you can get. So a lot of my gift boxes will have one of those in, generally to go with the theme. Um, and that was kind of the idea. And it's not, I know it's been done a million times, and Treatbox, as I've mentioned, is one of the main, would be the main competitor, I guess. And I never want to be someone out here that's copying ideas, but I think there can be more than one place selling this kind of thing, and you don't have to do it in the same way. So to have my own little tiny warehouse with like all the different shelves of products and to pick different products for different people, or to have a website where they can individually select. So it comes up like socks, pick your socks, candle, pick your candle, treat, pick your treat, teas, pick, you like really can select and really hone in. I think would just be such a good idea. I'm really worried that I'm giving away all my business ideas to all of the listeners. But as I said, it's been done before, so I'm not giving away anything new. I also have another business idea, which is to link that to events, but I won't go into that because I don't want to give that one away. But it's a similar concept, but for events and kind of event setup. So yeah, that would be what my ideal life would look like. I'd have a little warehouse. I'd have a little team of maybe 2 or 3 people that kind of help with packing orders and kind of getting that stuff out. I'd do my podcast. I'd do voiceovers here and there because they pay quite well if you really get into it. And do you know what my real dream job would actually be? Would be a radio host. So to host a radio show at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. on people's commute. Oh my goodness, what a dream job. And to get up and to know that before like 10 a.m. you've already earned some of your living and you've helped people wake up for work. Because I'm such a like bubbly, positive person in the morning. It would have to be a morning show for me. There would be no point getting me in for the late show because I'd be like, guys, I'm tired. Can I go to bed? Or I'd be like, let's have a glass of wine. And then that just doesn't contribute to my lifestyle. Like that gets me on the bad path. So for me, it would have to be a morning show, but I feel like that's not the immediate dream. So yeah, that's how my life would look. That's the goal. If anyone listening can contribute to this, please hit me up. But no, I'm quite happy at the moment. Everything's good. So the next question is funny stories. Any funny stories from work or from how you know the podcast host, which is myself? So obviously I am myself, so it would have to be kind of a funny story from life, I guess. Um, and I don't know if that many funny things have happened to me, really. I don't think funny things necessarily happen to me. I think just my reaction to things at times can be quite funny. Um, I mean, I'm quite clumsy, so I've had quite a lot of instances where I've really embarrassed myself. But there's a million stories I could tell of that. I mean, when I was working in a bar when I was younger, I did a lot of waitressing. Um, I did bar management, I did waitressing, cocktail making, bar, drink serving, everything in between. Kind of hospitality used to be my thing back when I had the energy. Um, and I mean, the worst clumsy moment for me, I guess, would be, and if you drink beer, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Peroni glasses. So I worked in Slug and Lettuce up in Manchester. Quite a nice little venue, but it was a long venue. So it was half bar. So the bar was in one side on the left-hand side with kind of like bar seating in front. And then to the right was the restaurant, and behind the restaurant was obviously the kitchen. So it was kind of split, if you know what I mean. So we would serve the drinks on the bar, and if you're waitressing, you'd have to go up to the left side, get the drinks, and carry the tray across. Um, and one table ordered like 5 pints of Peroni. Now, Peroni glasses don't balance well. Sorry if anyone from Peroni is listening, but they are the worst glasses ever. And maybe there's a reason behind this. I'm not a marketing expert. I don't know what the purpose is. But let me tell you, trying to carry a tray full of drinks is hard at the best of times. I have the worst shoulder problems and back problems from years and years of bar work and waitressing. I honestly can't tell you. And when I went to carry this tray, you know, something in your head says it's gonna happen, but you're like, no, 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 there's no way I can get around not carrying this tray. Like, I can't just walk out of my job, so I have to do it. And you kind of hope in your mind that it's not going to happen, but something in your brain says it's going to happen. I carried this tray and I made it all the way to the table. And lo and behold, the minute I stopped the stride of walking and I like looked at the customer, the guy that had ordered them, the minute I looked at him and went to lower the tray to the table, every single pint on that tray went on his lap. He had 5 pints of Peroni poured, and it wasn't quite on the table at this point. So some of them went like on his head because I was still like quite high up, and some of these glasses went into his lap. Luckily, he was really nice about it, and I can't remember if I discounted their meal or took the drinks off altogether and remade the drinks, and they got them for free. So it was fine. And he was totally fine about it. I mean, he was soaked, but what can you do? He wasn't an asshole. But yeah, that was a funny story for sure. Um, I guess the hospitality stories are probably the funniest. They're probably the best of the lot. So there was another time I used to go into this bar and club in Manchester again, back in my uni days. I'd left uni at this point. I was kind of graduated, had my degree in events management, and I used to love this bar called Revs de Cuba. If anyone's been, it's the most fun you'll ever have on a budget. So I'm sure everyone listening has probably heard of Revolution bars. So it's like vodka revs or Revolution bars. They've got them in every city by the bucket load. They're like, they're almost like an all bar one or a be at one. We've got a lot of all bar ones and be at ones in London. Similar kind of vibe. It's like, you know, like your cheap cocktail bar. You go in, you buy cheap cocktails, you have a dance. Well, Revs de Cuba is like a Cuban version of vodka Revs. Excuse me. So it's another part of their franchise, but there are not as many of them. So it's very I don't know if I'd say is it Mexican themed? I'm really bad at geography. It's Cuban. Where's Cuba? I don't know. Someone's going to be listening to this somewhere and be thinking you are dumb. But it's kind of Mexican-y, I think. Anyway, I went in there, God, every week, if not twice a week. You know, if I was really bored, I'd go out there on my own and just sit in the bar. But if I was out with friends, it would be one of the staples of our night. Like, it'd be one of the places we would have to go to. And it's just a fun time. It's just a good time. You go, you dance. Like upstairs, they've got like one of those 360 bars where you can walk all the way around. The back of the bar, there's seating. At the front of the bar, there's like a small restaurant area, but then more seating for like drinks. The bar used to get packed, and then there's a little dance floor at the front where they would either have like singers or like guitarists or people just playing different instruments, or they would just have a DJ and it would just get wild. And then you'd go downstairs and there'd be booths which you could set like would be sold. So you'd put like a deposit down for a booth and you'd get it back in drinks basically. And then there was another bar and another bar and a dance floor. So it was a big venue. It was a great time. Loved it. And there's also a VIP area. I forgot about that. Like a little VIP area you could hire for private parties or whatever. Um, and I used to go in there all the time, and I used to do some crazy shit. Crazy shit. And I mean, there was a time I balanced a glass of wine on my head and decided to slut drop, and my friend videoed it. And when we look back at the video, there was some guy behind me like thrusting at me. It was horrific. I mean, I look like if someone did that to me now, I'd be livid, like fuming. But back then it was just like funny times. And I used to steal the candles. So they had these big chunky coloured candles that they had on all of the tables, and I stole one in every single colour for my house because they're like the glass is the colour. So like it's a big chunky glass, almost like a glass tumbler, right? That you drink out of, but narrow at the top, wide at the bottom. And they had red, purple, white, orange, green, blue, you name it. And I was obsessed with these because you just put like a little normal tea light in and it like reflects that color. So it's gorgeous. And I was like, I want these all over my house. So I filled my house with them. Funnily enough, I went into a graduate job and I still used to go to Revs to Cuba. And then I hated this job and I left and I was desperate for work. So I applied for some jobs and I got offered this role at Revs to Cuba as a sales and events manager, or sales and events coordinator, um, selling the booths that I spoke about earlier. And they basically had a conversation when I joined about not obviously stealing things, which obviously goes without saying, but you kind of go through the rules and regulations, don't you, at the beginning? So I confessed. I was like, I've stolen a candle in every color, and I got in trouble. I was like, but I was trying to laugh it off. I thought it was funny, and I was like, "Oh, just thought it'd be really funny to tell you that when I was a customer and I was drunk, I used to steal these all the time. They're really easy to steal." And I thought it was just being really funny and really endearing. No, not funny, not endearing, apparently. Apparently that's not the way to go. So, yeah, I don't know. I've got loads of funny drunk stories, funny work stories from back in the day. Um, but yeah, we'll move on from that. So, how did I get into my passion? So, full story. I have touched on this in other episodes, and because it's me, I won't bore you with the full details. If it's a guest, they only have one episode to kind of sell the full story. So with me, I'll kind of brush over a few things. But had a really difficult childhood, really difficult teenagers, difficult early 20s, went to uni, went just to get away, just wanted to get out of my hometown, didn't know what I was doing in life. Went to uni in Sheffield, did a lot of things I shouldn't do, partied too hard. Won't get into that in too much detail, but yeah, not a good time. Really struggled mentally. And I studied journalism, which funnily enough kind of actually does lend itself slightly to what I do now. And I thought it was just a really interesting thing to study and a really interesting job. And it was. But I did discover that I just am not cut out for being a journalist. Like you have to have some kind of you have to be a little bit cutthroat to be a journalist. And I mean, maybe I could do it now, but at the time I was just so timid and so not myself and so not happy in who I was. It just would not have worked out for me. Um, so at the time I thought this was a disaster that I left uni in year two and I just left before my final year, which at the time and in hindsight, most people say, what a disaster, like what a waste. But really, in hindsight, probably the best thing I ever did because who knows what road I would have gone down if I'd have stayed there. I went back home for a year, got myself on the straight and narrow, stopped drinking so much, stopped partying, got my head straight a little bit, and then reapplied for uni and went to Manchester. Had to do a year of like an entry level course because I'd quit uni before, so they don't just let you in again. They kind of are like, you've got to prove yourself. It's really annoying. But I'm sure there's a reason and it probably works. So yeah, I went to Manchester, did that year, and then did 3 years of events management. And I love events. I always thought I wanted to be an event planner. I still, even to this day, like even 6 months ago, I was like, do I want to be an event planner? I don't know. But there's always been this thing in the back of my mind of like, my life's been so tricky. And I obviously had that desire for writing because of the journalism thing. And even before that in college, I did psychology, sociology, and English language. And I just love writing. And when I look back through my school reports and my school work, I always wrote. Like I loved writing. So coming out of uni, I kind of did a lot of events jobs and then COVID came and then I went to Ibiza and did an events job there. And I've come to London and worked in events and ended up in staffing events, which is not really where my dream was. And isn't, to be honest. And I hope, if anyone from work is listening, it doesn't mean I hate my job. It doesn't mean I'm not going to do it well. There's a lot of aspects of it that I enjoy. I enjoy who I work with, and I give 100% to everything I do anyway. So, and because I'm good at it, it kind of, I find you kind of enjoy something more if you're good at it. If I was crap at it, I'd be panicky, I think, and a bit like, anxious, but because I'm good at it and it's kind of a little bit easy breezy, and it taps into some of my good qualities. Like, I'm really organized. I love chatting to people, hence the podcast. I love a chat. I love being really friendly to people. I love speaking to people. I love writing emails. I love being organized and like getting shit together and, planning ahead. And I love events. So there's a lot to my job that lends itself really well to my character, my personality, and my skill set. So it's not like a lose situation, it's a win. Like, I do enjoy it. Um, but that was never kind of the dream. And I kind of, in finding myself the past few years and finding out who I am and kind of self-discovery and self-awareness, I've come to realize that my lifelong dream has always been to do a podcast. And I kind of came to this conclusion because I send a hell of a lot of long ass voice notes, right? Fucking long. And people were like, you love a chat. Like, why don't you present or do something? And that's what got me started on wanting to do a podcast and doing voiceovers, because I thought I get a lot of compliments on my voice. And I've never been one to take compliments or to ever feel good about myself until recent years. Um, because I just didn't like myself, and wasn't very self-aware, and I wasn't very kind to myself. I'm still not very kind to myself, if I'm really truthful. That's something I really, really need to work on, but I struggle. I struggle because, one, I'm a humble person, so it feels weird to be like, I'm amazing. But two, I think childhood and not having it told to you as a child and various childhood traumas, you grow up finding it really difficult to kind of give yourself that credit. So I never wanted to believe I could do something like this. And when people started saying you've got a really good voice, I was like, okay, do I? I'm annoying. My go-to is, the minute someone compliments me, is to go, I'm annoying. Oh yeah, but I'm really irritating. Oh yeah, but this. Oh yeah, but I'm shit. Just put down, self-deprecate, da 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 da. And I was like, do you know what? Maybe there is something in this. And I really, probably about 2 years ago, discovered that this is where the dream is. Like, this is, and now, as I've just told you, I know what my dream life looks like. And I've got to a place where I really do understand what that looks like. And that's like, for everybody out there, that is such a beautiful place to be. It's not necessarily the destination. Like, a lot of people think they know what their dream life looks like, but they never actually really think about it. And they're convinced that when they get there, life will be perfect. So, like, some people think, when I've got £1 million, life will be perfect. When I've got a Ferrari, life will be perfect. When I've had my tits done and my chin done and this done and that done, life will be perfect. Life, unfortunately, isn't like that. It's the journey. So for me, it's knowing what my ideal life looks like. And every day I get closer to it. But it's like, my life isn't that far from it now. And it's kind of sitting back and being grateful and enjoying the fact that my life is so close to it anyway. Like, when I go home and visit, I get so grateful that I've created this life for myself in London where, my life isn't perfect. I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I can go yoga twice a week. I can do Pilates right next to my house. I can go to the gym, and I can choose different gyms. I'm with Pure Gym, so I can do any Pure Gym in London. I can go for a glass of wine whenever I want. Like, the life I've created for myself is fairly close to my dream life, but it's also the journey of getting to the dream that's really enjoyable. And I think that dream sometimes changes. And in loving the journey and being grateful and enjoying it, like, then it means when it changes, either changes because your enjoyment has made it change and you're like, actually, I find something new that I love. So it changes organically, or it changes because I don't know what the other option was. Like, my mind's gone blank. But it might change. And like, that's okay. That's what I was going to say. It might change because of other factors, but then because you're happy, it's okay? So, yeah, that's kind of the full story how I got to my passion. And I just thought, do it, just do it. Like, I'm someone that used to think I could never do anything. And then recently I'm like, just do it, just do it. You can do it. And I'm the most anxious, most self-deprecating person you'll ever meet, who used to be the most shy person you ever meet. So if I can do this, oh my God, you can do it too. Like, there's no limit to how far we can go in life. And just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean you can't. And that's the thing I used to struggle with. I used to think, oh my God, every space that I want to be in is so saturated. But why does that matter? There's a million, I don't know how many podcasts exist. I think it's in the millions. It's probably like 50 million, but I'm just going to say a million because it's easy. There's a million podcasts out there. And at first, that was what stopped me. I was like, well, no one's going to want to listen to me. Why should I do it? There's already people doing it. That's not my place. But then other people start new podcasts all the time, and I go, oh, they've got a podcast. I want to listen to it. Or, oh, I found a new podcast from this person that's unknown, but I love it. And I still listen to them. So then I realized, like, they're just doing it and they're not bothered by the fact that it already exists. So why can't I just do that and have belief in myself? And I think once you start following those passions, it doesn't even matter if you make money from it anymore. I used to think, like, what can I do that's going to make money? And that never serves you well, because if your heart's not in it, you're not going to do it, and then you're not going to make money. So it's absolutely counterproductive and pointless. I do this because I love it. And then 9 times out of 10, when people actually follow their heart, it does make money in the end. And that's the dream. Hopefully that happens, but it's not the be all and end all for me. I enjoy what I'm doing, and it gives me a real sense of purpose and a sense of joy. So I think that's really important. Okay, so tips and advice for anyone getting into their passion or their career. I feel like I've kind of given them throughout, so there's not really much to say on that. I think one would be the golden triangle, which has been spoken about with the episode with Charlotte Brown. So she actually gave me this wisdom. She's a friend slash old previous client of mine, someone I used to work with when I was working in staffing and events for a different agency. And we've become really good friends. She's someone that really inspires me. And she said about this kind of golden triangle, which is, you know, anything you do in life, work wise, has to kind of fulfill two of the edges of the triangle. So obviously a triangle's 3 edges. And I'm going to try and remember them. Probably should have written this down before I recorded. But so one of them is like money. Does it pay your bills? Like, is it paying you? The other one is, does it fulfill your kind of like your soul and your heart? Like, is it your passion? Is it what makes you happy? And then I think the third one is like, does it contribute to like your learning and your training, or like your progression basically to like the next step, if you know what I mean. Um, sorry. Um, so I guess every job you do, you kind of need to see if it fulfills two of those. So my podcast, for example, isn't a job, but it is the two that isn't the money. It's the passion, it sets my soul on fire, and it's also kind of like a stepping stone, like it progresses me somewhere. Um, and then my job in staffing and events, it pays my bills. And I don't know which one of the other two it is, but it's definitely one of them, but I don't know which it leans more towards. I wouldn't say it's like my heart's passion, but I do enjoy it. But maybe it's like, it's stepping stone, I guess, to like where I want to be in life. Um, yeah. And then you've got voiceovers, passion, stepping stone, and money, which is that's the golden triangle right there. Um, so yeah, that's a good bit of advice. There's been a lot of good advice from my guests. I think a bit of advice, maybe more for life, which I will say I've learned recently in therapy, and I probably talk about therapy quite a lot, and I'm going to do a whole episode on it, if not more than one episode, because it's so important to me, and I think it's really changed my life and really helps me. Um, Something I learned in therapy is just therapy alone really is a bit of advice. Like therapy or just talking. I find a lot of my problems, I'm so in my own head. And if you've got someone in your life you can really trust who's completely going to sit on the fence, not on the fence, but be neutral and love you and give you advice either way and not be biased, that's amazing. And some people have those amazing friendships or relationships with their mums or their nans or dads or whoever. Um and I have that with my therapist. Some people that don't have that will have it with a therapist because the therapist is very neutral in their response. And I think the reason that's so helpful is because even just this week of recording this, I had 2 weeks away from my therapist because she was on holiday, which she's absolutely entitled to do. And I also had my manager off from work, so I was managing everything and kind of was on call throughout a very busy weekend. And when you're on call on a weekend, you kind of feel like you don't have a day off for like basically 2 weeks. And I also went home and I've got a lot of family stuff going on. It was just a lot. And then I had a job decision to make, and there was just a lot of things happening at the time. And I realized that this is when, at the time of releasing this episode, that's probably going to be a little bit further in the past, like a few weeks prior. But um, it really does kind of just give a good example. When I spoke to my therapist again after the 2 weeks, I kind of just broke down and I kind of just said, "This is stressing me out, that's stressing me out." Da, 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 da. And the minute I spoke about it to her, just having that time to have an hour and a half of dedicated time to talk through with someone was just amazing, and it helped in ways I couldn't imagine. And what it does, I always see therapy as like it organizes my thoughts. So when I'm overwhelmed and my thoughts are going AWOL and I'm feeling crazy and bleh, speaking it all out loud or journaling helps as well. Journaling's excellent, but I find talking more beneficial. Um, to someone who's neutral is so helpful because I have a lot of people in my life who I can go to for advice, but they don't give you an hour and a half straight because everyone has a life to live. And I get that. And that's fine. It doesn't make them a bad friend or a bad partner or a bad family member, but people have lives. And that's what a therapist is there for. um, but I have these people in my life and they have things to do. They don't have that amount of time to give to me. And on top of that, they also have their own opinions, which is absolutely fine. But sometimes I don't want an opinion. I want to talk to someone who's completely neutral. So I find that really helpful. Um, and I think it really just helps in life to organize how you're feeling and helps you make decisions. So yeah, that's a really big one for me, for sure. Okay, so inspirational quote for life. I don't have one, I have millions. I love an inspirational quote. I'm annoying as hell. I just love inspiration. Hence the Inspo Pod. Um, how this was born. Um, but I think, I mean, I've got a tattoo. I've got quite a few tattoos, but I've got one tattoo which is horrendous. First tattoo I ever got. It's awful. I don't know what on earth possessed me. I used to go out a lot when I was younger, and I don't know if anyone else remembers this era of time in the early 2000s, where everyone used to wear a plain black court shoe. I'm just going to drink some wine, by the way, because I have a very sore throat right now. Cheeky glass of Merlot. Um, so everyone used to wear a black court shoe out. It used to be high heeled, black court shoe, and it went with everything. And you know what? I actually miss those shoes. I know they're not fashionable anymore, and if I wore them now, I'd be like, ugh. But I actually did love them. They are beautiful shoes, and they do go with everything. And they do make your legs look good. I can't lie. Like, I wish they'd come back into fashion. I really do. But because of that, I thought, oh, I'll get a tattoo on my foot because that part of my foot's always out. So I kind of got this tattoo along the line of where your shoe would be. So it kind of sat on the line. I don't wear shoes like that anymore. I wear trainers everywhere I go. So pointless. Um, but yeah, so I got this tattoo and it says love life. And it's cringy. It's like live, laugh, love. But love life is a phrase that I live by because I want to love my life. And it's like when you're feeling sad, the reason I got it was I could just look at it and be like, love life, like love your life. And if you're not loving it, figure out why you're not loving it and try and fix it. And some things can't be fixed. Maybe you're not loving it because someone's ill. Like my dad's really ill at the moment. My nan's not well. Like there's reasons why you might not be loving it, but try and find the joy because even if the worst thing happens and like say if you lost someone or you go through a real tragedy, those people that you lose would want you to find the joy and you'd want to find joy in their last moments anyway. I'm not saying I'm going to lose anyone, but like just as an example, you know, finding the joy in life is so important, even in the tough times. And if you're having tough times and due to something that can be changed, change it. Like the amount of times I've thought I'm stuck in a job and I've been so unhappy. And then I've eventually left that job and gone, what the hell was I waiting for? Why did I wait? Like it was making me unhappy. And I just believed in my head that there couldn't be something better. And every time I do that, something much better comes along. It's like the universe just goes, you were brave enough to step away. So here's something better. And I love that. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of my main advice, I mean, I've got so many inspirational quotes. Um, yeah, just follow my Instagram if you want more. It's Beth Honey 303, BETHHONEY 303. There's so many. Um, yeah, something that annoys me. Let's go on to that one. This is my favorite one, and I realize that sometimes I can come across quite offensive. So if you're listening, hopefully you've got a sense of humor and you take things with a pinch of salt, because if not, screw you. But things that give me the ick, things that annoy me, I have again millions of these. Millions. Um, Millions. Honestly, I can't even tell you. So I'm going to name a few, and I don't want anyone to be offended because there is context. Well, there isn't a lot of context, but it's all with a pinch of salt, right? So, finance bros. I'm looking for a guy in finance. Can't remember the rest. But no, I'm never looking for a guy in finance. For me, that's an ick. And like, as I said, take this with a pinch of salt. There's some lovely guys out there. There's guys I went to uni with who are absolutely amazing people, and they now have amazing jobs in finance. And I don't really find them an ick. I don't really dislike them. It's just funny. Like, it's gonna sound awful, but getting on the tube in London on hot days and there's men in full-on suits gives me the ick. And I think because for me, I want a job where I'm able to wear my own thing. And I think life will go that way. I think most office jobs and business jobs will go more relaxed, and they are getting more relaxed. It used to be that you couldn't have tattoos, and now look at the world. So I think the world is going more that way. And a suit has its place in life. I mean, men look lovely in suits, but I just feel sorry for like, it's a busy Thursday, everyone's crammed on the tube, everyone's got their armpits in each other's faces, and there's one guy in a fucking suit and shirt, posh shoes, and he's sweating profusely, like maybe 2021, thinking he's an absolute G. And I just think, oh my God, like, one, that company, let these guys wear something that's more comfortable, for fuck's sake. And for these guys, some guys that are finance bros do give me the ick, because it's the young ones where they're out on a Thursday night doing coke, doing drugs, like chatting up women left, right, and center in their suit, thinking that the suit is going to get them the women. And it's just a real ick for me, like a real ick. But again, take this with a pinch of salt. There's no offense. Rude people, rude people. Again, in London, there's an abundance of finance bros, and there's an abundance of rude people. And I just can't. I just think rudeness is a good ick, though. That one, don't take that with a pinch of salt, because just don't be fucking rude. Like, there's no need. I say please and thank you every time I get on a bus to a bus driver. I say please and thank you to every person that serves me in a shop. I say sorry and excuse me to every person I walk past in the street. Obviously, if I'm like squeezing past them. So it just, manners cost nothing. Manners cost nothing. Nothing. And what a nicer world. What a nicer world. What a nicer place the world would be if we all did that. Like, really. There's just no need for rudeness. Who brought you up like that? Really? That's my question. Thursdays in London. I feel like there's a bit of a theme. These are all kind of linked. Thursdays in London give me the ick. Unfortunately, I have to go into the office on a Thursday. And if I had my way, I would never leave the house on a Thursday, because Thursdays in London are horrific. Because everybody that's on work from home vibes goes in on a Thursday to drink, because everyone goes out on a Thursday after work. And the problem with that is, I think some of these people, and it's not their fault, but they only go in on a Thursday, and because it's so horrifically busy, to the point where sometimes you can't even get on a tube because there's that many people waiting, and it's that crammed onto the tube that you physically can't breathe on there, so you can't get on. Um, and I think that some of these people assume that every day is like that, so they carry on working from home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, because they assume that that's what the commute is like, and they're like, oh my God, this is horrendous. I don't want to go in any other day. When really, if they went in on a Monday and a Friday, they'd realize it's an absolute breeze. Mondays and Fridays going to the office are so nice. Those would be my favorite days to get out and go somewhere in London, because they're so chill and no one travels, and everyone that has an office job that just works for the weekend, those kind of people stay at home Mondays and Fridays. which is the dream for me because I'm like, right, perfect, let me go out. So yeah, Thursdays in London are an absolute ick for me. A Thursday and a Friday are like worlds apart on the tube. It's just wild. It's wild. It literally is like the Wild West on a Thursday. It's like elbow your way onto the tube. Horrific. The Northern Line, not the one. Um, Gilets. Again, take with a pinch of salt. It's not offensive, but anyone that wears a gilet, oh my God. And again, a lot of financy bros wear these. And like, I think it's just a very posh person thing to do. And I just don't like them. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm offending a million people. I'm so sorry. I just don't like them. I cannot stand a gilet on a man or no, or a woman, or a woman. You know, when you get the middle-aged women that are in like their running gear, but they're just walking their dog and they get on the tube and they've got those like 3/4 length pedal pusher gym leggings and like Skechers trainers, a t-shirt and a gilet. I'm being so specific and so mean right now. This podcast is supposed to be about inspiration and kindness, and I'm just slating people, but this bit is always meant to be for a bit of a laugh. Um, but yeah, that outfit's not the one. But then men that wear gilets, men that wear long sleeve shirts and gilets, nope, don't talk to me. Please don't try and chat me up. But men that wear short sleeved shirts or t-shirts with gilets, what's even the point? That blows my mind. I get a gilet on a farm. There's a purpose for that when you're out in the countryside. But I think it's more in the city. I think, well, what are you doing? Anyway, funny. And too much plastic surgery is another one for me on women, young women especially, because I think it's really sad. I think it's sad that young girls feel the need to alter their appearance so much. And I think because, I mean, I'm 34 and a half and I've never even had Botox, never had my lips done, nothing. I don't even have my eyebrows or my lashes done. That's wild. Um, but I get like asked if I'm 21, 22, and I think it's down to like diet and drinking water. Not to sound big-headed, but that is one of the things I'm really proud of is looking young. And I think that's just purely down to like nutrition and how you look after yourself. And then it makes me really sad that people in their early 20s feel the need to like inject everything into their face and their bodies because they just don't need it. And some of them are so beautiful. And sometimes I look at a girl and I think, oh my God, you're stunning. You don't need to do that. Like, please don't. Um, so that makes me sad. It's a bit of an ick because I think it's just sad. And I want everyone to have that like inner self-confidence, you know? I mean, a prime example is the Kardashians. And sadly, I think everyone like follows them blindly, like young girls. But what these young girls need to remember is that one, these women are like in their 40s or late 20s, early 30s, 40s. Also, not only are they much older, but they also have a lot of money. And they also have had a lot of scrutiny. I think what people forget is that they've been scrutinized and have a lot of like issues that are not their own fault from like the public. And that has led to that. They're not doing it because they're fully confident. They're doing it out of lack of confidence. And I think a lot of them are confident themselves now, but it just makes me really sad that young girls will look at that and think, oh, I need to do all of those procedures. But they don't look at the reasons why those procedures have been done or look at the age of the people doing them. And I just think there should be a level of accountability on a lot of surgeons. And I think plastic surgery should be a 21 age limit, not 18, to be quite honest. Because I think by 21, I think at 18, you don't really know what you want to look like. Your face hasn't fully developed. And you come into yourself in your early 20s, I think. I wanted to get my boobs done for so long. And then the minute I got to like early mid 20s, like 22, 23, 24, I realized, why on earth did I want to touch these? Like, there's nothing wrong with them. And I've actually grown to like feel like they're one of the best parts of me. It's weird to say that in case, any family members or work colleagues are listening, but I love my boobs. I love them. I think they're great. They're symmetrical, they're perky, it's awkward, but I love them. I love them. And to think that if someone had let 18, 19, 20-year-old me get them done, I don't think I'd love them. And that makes me really sad. So, yeah, I say too much plastic surgery is an ick, but I say it in the nicest way possible because I just want women and girls to find inner confidence. And I think the industry needs to change to make that happen. So, and Instagram and influencers need to stop promoting it and stop advertising it. Love Island. Oh my goodness. Can we just do a note on Love Island before we wrap up? Love Island, they pick their contestants. And it angers me that they're only letting people in that have had multiple surgeries, like fillers, lip fillers, cheek fillers, like boob fillers, like everything. If they started letting more natural people in there, the impact that would have on the younger generation of women would be profound. I just think so many girls look up to Love Island and people on these kind of similar shows. And I just think there's not enough representation of people that just don't get work done. Like it's become norm to have a shit ton of filler in your body. And I just think they're also to blame. So yeah, that's my icks. And then I guess any last words of wisdom. I mean, I think with me, because you guys tune in every week, you know, I don't need to say anymore. I think that's it. I think have a glass of red, chin chin, cheers, and let's just enjoy life. Like, let's have a laugh, try and make ourselves better, try and make others better, and let's just enjoy the ride. Because if you're not enjoying life, then why are you here? Just to clarify, actually, to finish, humans are going to be on this planet by the time we're extinct for a tiny snippet of this Earth's lifetime. We're here so short because we haven't looked after the Earth, basically, but that's another story for another day. But our time on this Earth is so minimal. And then if you break that down, it's our actual lifetimes are so short. And when we die, this always sticks in my head. When I die, it will only be maybe, I don't know, 50 years before everybody I know is dead. And there will come a time, and this scares me when I say it, it's like gives me the chills, but there will be a time in life when your name is never mentioned again. Does that make sense? Let that sink in. So each and every one of us, when we die, there will come a point at which someone says our name for the last time and we are never thought of or mentioned again. Unless we're famous, of course. I get if you're royal or you're famous, different. But generally speaking, and the reason that's so significant and so important is because it doesn't fucking matter. Nothing really matters. If I spent, say if I die at 60, who knows? If I spend my tiny little 60 years of this planet working for a massive company, doing something I hate, being miserable, working all the hours God sends, and then staying in a miserable relationship, never following my dreams, never doing anything out of my comfort zone, never treating myself to coffee, never working out to keep my body healthy and keep my mind happy, never, if I live that life, like the only person that suffers is me. And in like 100 years after I'm dead, no one will have known or even care who I worked for, where I worked, what I did. The company I worked for may even not be still going. Like it's going to be so pointless. And I think we all get so caught up in the here and now and so caught up in our own lives and think that we're like the center of the universe and that everything we do matters. And it really doesn't. So I could do that, or I could spend my 60 years on this planet just saying, fuck this, I'm going to just record a podcast forever and I'm just going to be completely myself. And some people are going to hate me for it, and some people are going to be jealous, and some people are going to judge me, and some people are going to say it's shit. But I'm going to do this, and this, because this makes me happy. I'm going to do this, and this, because it keeps me healthy. And that's the way I'm going to live my life because I want to. And after I'm dead, like 100 years later, no one's going to know or remember or care again. So if it doesn't matter to anybody else and it's not going to matter further down the line, then why are you not just enjoying your life for you? That would be my question, because it doesn't really matter. And another point on that, just to finish on, is that you're not as important to everybody else as you think you are. If you're so worried about tripping over and you think everyone's going to look at you and laugh, think how many people you've witnessed tripping over in your lifetime. Was it significant? No. Did you laugh at them? No, unless you're an asshole. Did you remember it the next day? No. Like now that I've asked that question, I'm thinking, oh yeah, actually I can remember a couple of them, but only because I've prompted it. And at the time, all that went through my head was, oh, I hope they're okay. I didn't think anything about their personality. It didn't make me judge their character. So why are you so worried about what you do? Why do you think everybody cares so much? And once you get out of your own head and you realize that no one really cares about you in the nicest way possible, life gets so much fucking easier because people just don't care about us as much as we think they do. And you might have family, like I have some family that are like, you should do life this way, you should get this job, you should do this. And it comes from a good place. And there's been times when I've done certain jobs or done certain things because I thought that that's going to make them happy. And then I've come to realize that really, they're not really that bothered what I do. As long as I'm not taking and selling drugs, or getting put in prison and embarrassing them as a family, as long as I'm doing something good, then they don't really care as much as I think they care. So why don't I just do me? And the more I do me, the more I prove to them and everyone else that my way is a good way. So just do you. Just prove to the doubters, prove to people around you that your way of living is a good way and you're happy. And like I promise you that is the best way to live your life. So I hope this has been a bit of a fun episode. I've gone quite deep on some episodes about me, but I thought let's just strip it back. Let's just ask me the same questions I ask the guests and see what comes. Um, so yeah, tune in again, share, like, subscribe. I'm going to go and enjoy my red wine, guys, and I wish you all a pleasant evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it is you're doing. If you're looking for voiceovers, voiceover artists, or a radio host in the morning, please let me know. It's Bethany at the inspopod.co.uk, which you can find below if you're watching on YouTube. Or BethHoney303 on Instagram. Hit me up. Make my dream a reality. But yeah, love you all and speak soon.